Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So, what happens next with Brexit? Theresa May's deal has been defeated again. Parliament smashed it over the head and left it for dead yet again. But like a modern day Dr. Frankenstein, Theresa May keeps attaching the jump leads and reanimating the corpse of her dead deal back up for another go. And this is what she intends again. Buoyed by the fact that the margin of defeat has become smaller each time, she thinks she can get a majority for it next week. And that is the course she is going to pursue. So the Prime Minister said, "I fear we are reaching the limits of this process in this House," which is veiled language for if Parliament doesn't vote for her deal next week, she's going to ask it to vote for a new general election. But there are four main obstacles to the Prime Minister having her deal voted through next week. One, the EU Council decision was that Parliament must pass the withdrawal agreement by the end of the 29th of March 2019. Next week is April. However, the EU haven't officially said that they will no longer accept it. So it is possible they would, and she's certainly banking on having it passed next week so that she can then say to the EU Council, it's a done deal, can we please have more extension now? It's possible, like I say, that they would, just based on the fact that they haven't specifically said that they will not do that now. Two, although passing the withdrawal agreement satisfies the EU in international law, as I said yesterday, it does not satisfy UK law. We still have the same problem in that May's motion today was illegal. She only got away with it because it didn't pass. If it did pass, then there would be court cases. Sure, too late to stop the process, but the government would have been found to have acted illegally over this. Can you imagine what that's going to do in the country? Three, the Prime Minister does not have support for her deal. The DUP will not back it. One more Labour MP rebelled than last time, okay? And there's a few more that might if it got really close, if it would tip it over the edge. But who amongst the Conservative MPs still not backing it today would do so next week? Like, seriously, this was supposed to be it. It was supposed to kill off her deal for good. Those MPs didn't really believe that she could even bring it back again, and they voted knowing that, or at least believing it. Besides, a hint at a general election is hardly likely to pull them into line. They may relish that prospect after all. As may some of the Labour MPs who would be thinking of rebelling but think, actually, I'd rather have a general election. And four, the Prime Minister would have to substantially change her motion in order to even have another vote. She's presented the withdrawal agreement and political declaration. It failed. She presented those two documents along with two further documents, one of which the EU did not even agree to, and that failed too. She has presented the withdrawal agreement entirely on its own, and that has failed. What other configuration can she possibly come up with that would be allowed another vote? The only way the motion could be significantly changed is if she agrees to have it amended by whatever achieves support in Monday's indicative votes. Now, if her motion were to include a commitment, for example, to a permanent customs union, that could work. If it were to include a final say by the people of a second referendum, that would certainly get through. But without adding to it, there is no way it can pass the test of change and even be voted on next week. Now, I'm not saying that she won't attach one of those amendments to it, but it would be most unlike her blinkered stubbornness up until now. So what if it doesn't get through for whatever reason, whether it's voted down again or just doesn't even get a vote? That may very well depend on what Parliament votes for next week. If it comes to a major consensus, and I don't just mean getting a majority, but I mean a sizable majority on a way forward, then she may adopt it. She may have no real choice. But I don't think so, because I don't think there will be an overwhelming majority for anything. I hope there's a majority for something. Now, she's spent too long kowtowing to the ERG that I believe she will probably prefer to go for a no deal, just out of party loyalty. And for this, there'll be no further extension, even a technical one, I think. Reporters in Brussels are suggesting that if the EU accept that a no-deal Brexit is on the cards, they'd much rather it was sooner than later. The sooner it happens, the less likely it is to contaminate the European elections. So if Theresa May goes to them and says, look, we haven't agreed anything, I'm sorry, it is going to be a no deal. But can we have that extension to May 22nd? We will confirm it's definitely a no deal. We're not going to ask for another one. We're not going to take part in the elections, but we need it to sort out our statute books. The EU are going to say no. No, it's going to screw up the elections. So the only way the EU would allow an extension without the agreement is if it's a long one, not round about the election time at all, a long one to completely clear it, and we would have to agree to take part in those European elections. If we don't, and I don't know if Parliament will compel her with sufficient numbers, then she may go along to that emergency council meeting on April the 10th to play the last sorry act of this Brexit tragedy and announce that in 2 days hence we leave without a deal. That, I still think, has to be the most likely outcome unless Parliament next week gets behind something and properly gets behind it. Even if she does make good on her threat to support a new general election, which I'm sure would be supported by the House. Remember, she can't just trigger it. It needs to be a 2/3 majority, but the numbers are there. We still don't get an extension without those European elections. So even on the original Brexit day, we still don't really know what's in May's mind as to her actual plan B. What happens if she can't get her deal through? Does she even have a plan B tucked away in that dusty old head of hers? You've got to think, surely she must. Surely she can't believe it will be passed next week after 3 failed attempts. But maybe she does. Maybe she accepts no other outcome than it will get passed. And then we're all bound. Unless Parliament sorts stuff out next week. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content, click the bell notification as well. Until next time, I'll see you later.